Well, it's been an eventful parliament. Yesterday, it was another of those. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, our parliamentary affairs correspondent, here with a wrap and what will happen today. He's joined me in studio, and Joseph, it's good to have you. Let's take a look.
Good to see you.
Right. Okay. Well, let's start with what happened in Parliament yesterday, and then I'll add the rest of my questions. You had a good sleep, though.
Yeah, I can't complain much.
You shouldn't, just as a parliamentarian. Okay. So let's start with what happened in Parliament yesterday.
So yesterday, Parliament approved the membership of two different committees. The Business Committee, which sets out what agenda the House should deal with every week, chaired by the leader of government business most of the time. That committee was approved. There wasn't much controversy around that. I could tell you about that in a while, but it's with the Appointment Committee that's supposed to vet the ministerial nominees of President Akufo-Addo. That also got approved. It saw some controversy. First of all, let me tell you about the members on that particular committee.
Okay.
It's chaired by First Deputy Speaker Joe Seusu, the MP for Bekwai, Alexander Fenio-Markins, the MP for Futu, and the deputy leader on the MPP side will be the vice chair of that particular committee. There are a number of others on that list. John Intim Fojo, the MP for Asen South, well, the only material engineer in the 8th Parliament and also in the 7th Parliament that just ended. He's on the committee as well. Frankano Dompre, Patrick Yabuama, Matthew Opoku Prempe, Henry Kote, Brian Champong, who used to be at the National Security Ministry, Esle Kufu, Patrick Apiaje, the MP for Asokwa, as well as Obi Amwa. And then there are two new MPs on the side of the MPP on that committee. Hassan Tampoli Sulemana, who is the former boss of the NPA, and then John Kuma, who is the former boss of the
NYA.
NPEIP. They keep changing the name. So you can't be too sure what it is now.
The former NY.
The former NYEP boss.
NYEP.
Yes, and now the MP for Ejeso. So the two of them are the new MPs who are serving on that committee. Okay. And then on the NDC side, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the MP for Tamale South, he is the ranking member on the committee. Muntaka Mubarak, Mahama Yarega, Samson Ahia Rekopoku. These are old guards who've been on the committee all these years, over the last 4 years, as well as Elizabeth Ufuswa Jare, the former Minister for Tourism, who is making a comeback to Parliament. James Galga, a new introduction to the committee. He's not being a member of it.
I see.
Edwin Nilante Vandapoy, Samuel Okudjo
Edwin.
Yes, his English name is Edwin. I'm sure if President Akufo-Addo had taken note of that, he wouldn't have
noted that difference.
Yes, So, and then there is Samuel Okudjo Blackwell, who's also been on the committee all this while, Hassan Suhini, who has been on the committee all this while. And there are three new MPs from the NDC side on the committee. Francis Xavier Kojososu, the MP for Madina. And then Zuwera Mohammed Ibrahim, as well as Gisela Tetabotu, who is the MP for Senya East.
One of the East
so
West.
Those are the members on that committee.
Right, interesting. But Joseph, I just want us to look at the numbers. I think one of the key issues for the NDC had been representation in terms of numerical representation for the party on the committees.
Funny enough, they got to this time and the MPP was upset. So the 26-member committee has 13 members on the MPP side, another 13 on the MPP side. Okay. And if you read the standing orders, when it comes to the appointment committee, it says the appointment committee would have a chairperson who would be the first deputy speaker and then a maximum of 25 other members. Then this time around, they decided to work with the maximum, bringing it to 26, and that's where the split 13-13 came. The NPP holds a different opinion. In fact, Alexander Fenio-Markins argued on the floor of Parliament that when you are counting the said 25, which should add on to the 26, the first deputy speaker should not be part of it because he doesn't have the voting right, and so he's not supposed to be part of the committee. So his analysis was that in terms of a 50-50 split, which the NDC has always demanded for, then that split should have happened with the rest of the members of the committee, in this case the 25, and he was making the argument that the NPP should have had 13 of that, and the NDC should have had 12, by virtue of the fact that it's 138, 137 per the original figures. And then the first deputy speaker adding on to them would then have given them an additional figure to then take their number to about 14 on the committee and the NDC 12.
How will this affect subsequent decisions that have to be taken by this appointment committee?
Well, very fundamentally, the voting in the House is categorical that, you know, when it comes to approving anything, the vote fails once you don't get a majority voting for it. So if there are 13 of them on the committee, and they are supposed to approve anything, and the NDC takes a stand that they are not approving whoever the person who is being vetted is, and there's a split of 13-13 in the voting, it eventually means that the vote has failed, and the committee has to recommend to the House not to approve whoever that person may be. Except that the House could take a contrary decision to whatever the recommendation of any committee of the House is. And again, on the floor, it's 137, 137, and then we have the situation with the independent MP joining the other. So then what it means on the floor going forward is that it's going to be difficult getting anyone through without having the support of the NDC MPs on the committee.
Yeah, the support or a Judas somewhere who can betray the decision of a particular group.
And after what we saw with the voting for a speaker, it means anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
But that, will votes like these go into secret balloting?
That's the specific requirement that when the House is taking decisions on a lot of these key issues. So first of all, then there's the bit having to do with the voice votes, which was something which happened yesterday. There was a voice vote on whether to approve the recommendation of the select committee on the list of appointment committee members. The Speaker said he wasn't clear in his mind on the voice vote. He requested for a head count. Eventually, he called for a second voice vote, and then the approval, those voting yes had it. Usually, when the House has voted on some of these things, it's sometimes by head count. It's when a specific demand is made for secret voting that it then results in that. So we wait to see how things will play out. For example, when the House voted for the approval or otherwise of Otikwa Fisa-Jaba, it wasn't so much of a secret ballot. It was a head count. And so we wait to see what the processes will be when approvals are done for that.
Okay, it promises to be a very interesting process. I mean, we've seen how it's gone even when they had the NPP had majority, even when, so it'll be very interesting how it goes. But then we also know that the NDC caucus in Parliament have raised some issues with the transition.
Yesterday, and insisted that there's a specific requirement in the Transition Act of 2012 that says that when ministers and government appointees put together their handing over notes and submit to the Administrator General, copies should go to the Presidency and copies should come to Parliament. He says he's yet to see any of those copies being brought officially to the House, and for him that amounts to a breach of the Transition Act. And then he linked that to the fact that there are potentially some of those ministers who are coming back to be vetted into various ministerial positions, and so they would have loved to see those handing over notes to form the basis of some of the questions that they would ask. And he's making a specific demand that as soon as possible, those copies should be made available to Parliament so that then they would, you know, be able to scrutinize it and prepare adequately for the vetting of those who may do the comebacks.
Is he likely to get an answer in good time?
We're waiting because it's actually supposed to be the Administrator General who is supposed to respond to these issues that he's raising, not necessarily the executive arm of government. And if my memory serves me right, the gentleman who was the Administrator General has retired.
Okay.
And
but there has to be a replacement.
Well, which from what we are told hasn't been done yet. So there are questions about when government will appoint someone to take over, who will then lead the processes in terms of getting all these handing over notes to those relevant institutions that are supposed to get them.
I see. Are they back in Parliament?
They are back in Parliament today at 2 p.m.
What are we to expect?
Well, a number of things, including the motion that Mahama Yariga, the Boku Central MP, had filed. Well, he's actually written to the Speaker and given him notice that he would want to move that motion on the floor of the House. Speaker Bandabwin spoke of it yesterday and said that he wanted to get it done yesterday, but he wants to give it time so it be done today. And essentially, Mr. Yariga's motion is asking that the House approves a resolution asking the President to, create a situation where newly admitted university and tertiary level students don't have to pay admission fees, and that the admission fees are scrapped as a COVID-19 relief package for incoming students. And so we're waiting for the motion to be moved. It will be debated, and if the House goes ahead to approve it, in this case by simple majority, then to a certain extent, the understanding is that the resolution may be binding on the president to go ahead and do that, and scrap any possible admission fee that students who are getting into tertiary.
So it's just admission fee and not school fees.
It's just the admission fee that Mr. Ayariga's motion is saying should be scrapped going into the 2021 academic year. Okay,
simple majority meaning that we have to find a Judas, right?
And not necessarily. Maybe may end with a voice vote.
Okay.
Where the speaker will conclude that the ayes have it.
Okay.
And then in that case, then there wouldn't be a head count to even try and locate a Judas as far as the conversation is concerned. We're waiting to hear what the NPP side's position on this will be, whether they will back this or they will think it will be too much cost for the state to bear, and so they don't buy into the idea.
But the thing is that most of some of these monies sometimes goes to, is a part of the internally generated funds. So perhaps they may need the thoughts of the administration of the universities as well.
And the additional point is that any such fees, to a certain extent, when universities are charging fees and levies, it has to receive parliamentary approval. It has to be laid in parliament as legislative instrument, and then after 21 days, then it matures if there is no objection to it. So Parliament plays a certain role in how these fees get approved eventually, which is how come I'm sure Mr. Ayariga is convinced that the House can help take a decision when it comes to whether or not students should pay those fees.
I think students will be excited, parents will be excited as well, should this go through, but let's wait and see what the votes will tell us at the end of the day. Joseph, thank you very much. I wish you all the best in Parliament today. We'll be right here on The Pulse to connect.
See you later then.